You've come to the right place for the brightest stars, biggest shows, and amazing musical performances. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and it's the Broadway Show, so here we go. We're taking a look at another one of the amazing shows soon to be headed to Broadway. Old Friends is a great big Broadway show celebrating the life and music of Stephen Sondheim, and it features a knockout cast. Check it out.
You don't have to be a Sondheim fan and know this lyric and that lyric and da-da-da-da-da-da. It's total entertainment.
What an incredible blessing and joy it is to be able to sing so much of Steve's work on Broadway. It's like a perfect Sondheim playlist.
We wanted to show that Sondheim is for younger audiences as well, you know, and that young people expressing this material and delving into this material is important. But I think the key to the success of the show in many ways is our direct link through Bernadette Peters, who brings, I think without her the show wouldn't have the magic. It really does have this magic to have her there. I mean, we've got other amazing performers, but Bernadette brings this sense of connection with Steve, which is unparalleled.
Okay, so I saw Bernadette in Night Music. I also saw her in Follies. And I wasn't ready for Send in the Clowns. Specifically her version and her interpretation of Send in the Clowns. And I tell her this to her face. You broke me. And I was destroyed. And I happened to not bring tissue that night. Mistake, big mistake. And she gets two of the most heartbreaking Sondheim songs ever written. She gets to sing both of them in one show, and it's like, and I have to follow both of them.
You know, you think, oh, well, this is just a review, it's easy. But actually, when you're playing one role in a show and you have a line through and you keep going, this is like, now I'm this, now I'm her, now I go back, now I'm him, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do, and yeah. So, but for the audience, it's great.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Erika Jayne back on Broadway for a quick run playing Roxie Hart in Chicago. It's a role she took on right before the pandemic shut everything down. I got to chat with Erika at the Skylark. So you had an interesting time on Broadway. So you were on, and then your run in Chicago got cut short because the world shut down.
Yeah, the world shut down right here in New York City.
Well, let's go back to that. What was that like when you all realized like that was it? Did you realize what was going on at the time?
I don't think anyone really knew how big of a deal COVID was, and then certainly turned out to be. I remember us being called into the theater for a meeting and them saying, you know, we don't know the status of the next week. And then on television the next day, the governor shut everything down. So it was like, well, I guess we're going home. Literally went to the theater the next day, packed up, and then packed up the apartment and was back in Los Angeles.
Now you're back here again.
I'm back here again.
Back in the show.
5 years later.
Well, how does it feel? How different does it feel, and what's it like coming back in from how you came in the last time?
Well, okay, so, well, obviously my personal life is completely blown up. And so, yes, that affects a lot of things. But also, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I don't think any of us are. So coming into Chicago with a fresh set of eyes, Roxie almost feels in some ways even closer to home. And just there's a lot more dirt under my nails this time. Just life and age and experience. And I think that will affect the performance.
Talk about Roxie, because I guess it is definitely one of my favorite shows, if not my favorite show. There's just something really special about it, and every time I see it, I feel something different. And that's probably goes to what you're talking about. It's the experience, it's wisdom, It's just kind of life.
Well, Roxie's a complex character, and we as people, we're complex as well. And I think what's nice about someone like Roxie is that she wears her shadow up front. Like she's very. You get to see this person that is fast on her feet, living in the moment, and maybe not such a great person, but somehow or another sells it this way and you end up loving Roxie for who she is. She's not good, she's not bad, she's just Roxie.
She's not apologetic,
She's not apologetic at all, which, you know, but she somehow or another makes it work for her. Again, she's a complex character, and, you know, there's a little bit of Roxie in all of us.
Is the Broadway community feel different to you because you've had the, you've been able to see it from 2020 to where we are today? Does it feel different? Does it feel closer? What does it feel like to you?
It's nice. I've been in the theater twice so far since I've been here, and it's nice to see familiar faces, and then I get to see like the whole cast in a couple days, and I'm excited to give some people a hug. It's corny, but it's true. You do have a little family here when you perform and you get to know people. I think that's important, and I think that makes the shows that much more sweet.
What else do you have going on, or what else are you working on?
Well, this right now, I mean, my total focus is Broadway. Then I'll go home, I'll make some more music, and prepare for my show in London in June, and we'll see what happens in Housewives world. Who knows?
Yeah, what is going on in Housewives world?
You know, we're deep in the season. When I finish here in February, go home and shoot the reunion. That's always a good time.
Oh yeah. Do you prepare for the reunion? What do you do for the reunion?
I prepare in such that I try to watch as many of the episodes as possible. This season for me is not as conflict-ridden as the
Hectic?
as the last few years. So I feel pretty good. I'm not having to. I'm sure I'll catch some sort of comment, some stray comment somehow, some way. Somebody will be mad at me for something, but I'm okay. You know, I've had a chance to catch a breath, get back up on my feet, and that feels good.
We're celebrating another huge opening night on Broadway. English is the new Broadway production of the Pulitzer Prize-winning play. It's a comedy that takes place in an English language classroom in Iran. We caught up with the stars at the opening.
I was born in Iran, and I grew up with two parents who learn English as a second language, so I sort of feel like my entire life was a primer for this play in a lot of ways, and I often think that my character that I'm playing, Elham, in a sliding doors version of the world, I could have been her. Like if there had been a couple different historical events that hadn't occurred, this could actually be me. It's so meaningful. It's nothing I ever could have imagined. It's like such a moving and beautiful thing.
I can't even say it's a dream come true because I didn't even know it was a dream I could have. But the fact that I get to have my mom here with me tonight, and I feel like my grandmother, my dad, even though they're not with us in physical form, but I feel that I'm here because of them. I've taken all of that, and we're all together on the opening night of this amazing play, which tells the stories of so many women I grew up with whose stories were never told before, but not anymore.
I've gone my whole life in America mispronouncing my name because if I say it exactly right, no one says it. And I'm like, you can't really go into a casting office and say your name and they don't want to repeat it. So to stand on stage in front of all these people and say my name right every night is just like a mind-blowing experience.
Bottoms up, Broadway audiences are totally drinking the potion for the new musical comedy, Death Becomes Her. Of course, it's based on the iconic film, and it is hilarious. Here's Beth Stevens with another edition of Building Broadway.
Award-winning costume designer Paul Tazewell's newest Broadway creations are for the musical comedy Death Becomes Her. I headed to his studio for a peek at his process. In the most extreme sense, do you think Death Becomes Her is the ultimate makeover show?
Yeah, I think that you could say that. I mean, it does bring up, serious questions around how we see ageism and youth and beauty, and also, femininity, and I think it is grappling with some serious issues in a very funny way.
A very funny way.
Yeah.
What appealed to you about working on this project? It has glamour and dark humor.
I love the film with Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn and Bruce Willis. I mean, I fell in love with it. I remember cackling through the whole thing. Then to approach it as a musical with this wonderful cast, Megan Hilty, Jen Smart, they're amazing. Michelle Williams, that I dressed in The Color Purple, and now to dress her again, it's really a wonderful.
Tell me about some of the techniques or materials you used for the visual illusions of this show.
I would say the biggest design element, the strongest design element is the world of sparkle and glamour. Approaching all of those, I was making, our leading ladies look as amazing as possible. When you're faced with one of the characters gets shot in the stomach, and that is, that's a very iconic, memorable moment from the film. How it gets carried out for stage was, it took a lot of R&D, and we had to figure out what was going to actually show up theatrically. And so I think that people, it always gets a laugh.
What were your inspirations beyond the film?
Early on, I made the decision that the color palette would be reflective of the potion that they drink. So the whole world of Viola, and even her name is, representative of this potion. Everyone that surrounds her within her castle, her community of Walking Dead, glamorous Walking Dead. And then anyone who is touched by Viola and her potion goes to that lavender or purple tone. It's rare that I have the opportunity to do something so uber glamorous. My work has been so varied, but I've had a huge amount of fun designing this.
This Black History Month, we're celebrating Broadway's most influential Black artists, starting with Tony, Grammy, and Emmy Award winner Audra McDonald. The actress and singer's Broadway career has spanned decades. This season, Audra is making history as the first Black woman to play Rose in the revival of GYPSY on Broadway. The production is also spearheaded by a Black creative team, including director George C. Wolfe and choreographer Camille A. Brown. Audra is a Tony's most decorated performer with wins in all 4 acting categories. Offstage, she's equally as impressive. Over the years, Audra and her husband have leveraged their platform to advocate for marriage equality and the protection of young people experiencing homelessness. Their efforts have amplified these issues to national levels. In 2016, Audra received the National Medal of Arts from President Obama in recognition of her singular achievements on the stage and screen. In 2020, Audra co-founded Black Theater United, a nonprofit social advocacy organization that empowers the Black community within the theater industry and beyond. Audra's indelible impact on Broadway has been felt for generations, and she's not stopping anytime soon. Don't wait to catch Audra's historic performance in GYPSY at the Majestic Theater. This is a Broadway show, and we're back in just a few. If you're in town this February, you got to see Urinetown at New York City Center, set in a dystopian future where you got to pay the fee for the privilege to pee, with an amazing cast, including Rainn Wilson and more. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
So we are in the bowels of City Center in a rehearsal room, and you are throwing together very quickly Urinetown for City Center Encores.
The way they do theater here at City Center Encores is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It's like summer stock on Broadway with less than 2 weeks rehearsal, and then we're thrown up in front of 2,200 people in the audience.
Keeps you on your toes at this point in your career, huh?
It is something, but also for me, the last musical I did was, you ready? Fasten your seatbelts, Broadway. 40 years ago, I was Judd Fry in Oklahoma and New Trier High School.
Wow.
That's the last musical I've done. So this is all very new to me.
Another baddie. Although just a misunderstood guy, really. Oh, Judd Fry.
So is Cladwell. Cladwell's just a
misunderstood. Okay, let's talk about this guy.
A little bit.
Let's say his full name. I love his full name.
Caldwell B. Cladwell.
Right. And you're in a land of a lot of pee jokes.
Yes.
A lot of pee jokes. You run the Urine Good Company.
Urine Good Company.
Urine Good Company. And he is the bad guy, but you're saying he's actually misunderstood. Is that true of all bad guys?
Well, I think you can't play a character as like the bad guy,
Yeah.
So there are some clues in there that he was tasked during an immense drought with like saving this community. And one of the ways that he's done that is taxing peeing and using that money for research and to help, keep the money in the ground and not waste money with all that unnecessary flushing. So, he views himself as having done a very good deed, that he's got a relationship with this community, and he's not averse to cash, piles and piles of cash, and the occasional trip to Rio, but corruption aside, he feels like he's doing a good deed for the town.
You love to sort of tell people like, well, I am a theater person. I spent many years in New York doing theater, and I love that. And I love that you're back. Does it sort of remind you of the early days and like back in school?
It absolutely does. I mean, I just feel like theater people are my people, and I just love the eclectic nature of the ensemble and the diversity and the fun and the camaraderie. And it's such people aren't doing it for the money, right? So they're doing it for the love of it, and they love performing, and they love being part of an ensemble and supporting each other in that ensemble. And that energy is palpable, and it's way stronger than it is on a TV show. Although I will say, on The Office, it was a great ensemble. We all supported each other, and it had a little bit of that theater feeling, and most of the actors there had come from the theater or improv background. So, but I am floored by this ensemble. I compared this ensemble to like professional athletes. It's like, it's like watching, an NBA player come off the bench and hit a couple of threes and make some defensive stops and just play world-class basketball like on a dime. And that's what this ensemble is doing.
I got to see you do Waiting for Godot at Geffen Playhouse last year, not that long ago. When you do a play like that, that feels like that's very much in line with sort of bigger questions, right? And you got to sort of explore big questions every night with an audience.
Yeah.
So I assume that some things sort of give you extra motivation to want to get up on stage.
Every night before doing Waiting for Godot, which by the way was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It was so challenging. The language and the timing and the amount of attention and concentration that it required to do. The physicality was brutal. But every night I would be like, universe, allow me to tell this incredible story with these incredible characters and this amazing language, because it provokes questions and it helps illumine a little bit about the human condition. So yeah, anytime I can do something like that has extra reverberations, I'm game. And Urinetown, as silly as it is, has something to say, and it has something to say about our current cultural landscape. There's some meaty stuff underneath this very frothy satire.
Broadway is getting ready for Bill and Ted's Excellent Beckett Adventure.
Yes.
And I know that Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter actually came and saw your performance. Did you give them a handbook on how to pull it off, or?
It was, what a testament to them that they came and saw our Godot and had a meeting with us and the director, and we had a 45-minute, hour-long conversation about how to do Godot. I really applaud what they're trying to do. I think a lot of people are going to hear like, oh, Bill and Ted are doing Beckett on Broadway. That's bull. But no, these are two excellent actors, really smart actors that have been taking a good year to explore Samuel Beckett. They really want to excavate it and learn and make a rip-roaring production. And it was just a pleasure to be fellow Beckett enthusiasts talking about the challenges and the ups and downs and the rewards of doing Beckett.
A jazz legend comes alive on Broadway in A Wonderful World, starring Tony winner James Monroe Iglehart. Now here's another exclusive musical performance from the Broadway.com studio.
Hi, my name is Jenny Harney-Fleming.
And I am Dionne Figgins.
And we are from A Wonderful World on Broadway. Some of these days, you're gonna miss me, honey. Some of these days, you're gonna be so lonely. You'll miss my hug, you'll miss my kiss. You're gonna miss me, honey, when I'm far away. And when you leave
That's all for now. I'll see you next time. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show.